Mara Voss and Elias Vale take opposite sides of the Room 17 bench, their first shared assignment since the failed North Weir recovery. Between them, Mara's sealed field lantern rests under the intake camera. At 2028, amber light fills its cracked pane without power or prompting. An unidentified woman appears chin-deep in dark water, 3 orange survey cord loops cinched around her left wrist. The printer beside Mara begins a time-stamped line. Remembered rescue Mara never made. A retreat command follows from inside the lantern. Elias's chair moves back before he catches himself at the edge of the camera frame.
Elias Vale. Authenticate the event. I keep the intake open.
You have not asked for my ear since North Weir.
I asked for your ear, not your forgiveness.
Anchor. I am withdrawing.
No input preceded that. The lantern generated the image and voice on its own.
You know the speaker.
I know what answering you would reopen.
It never closed.
Then leave the speaker field blank.
Name the voice.
No.
Mara breaks the binding cord on their original recovery packet. It predates both of their bureau appointments. Elias's chamber-empty disposition and Mara's withdrawal mark occupy consecutive sleeves, but the interval between them contains no account of what Mara heard after anchor contact ended. She circles the blank interval, writes privately held, and places the packet where Elias can compare it with the lantern's retreat command.
We were volunteers then. Do not let the bureau heading make this cleaner than it was.
My last confirmed contact said the chamber was empty.
Then you ended my anchor.
You had already called your withdrawal.
After contact ended, I heard a woman. I saw one gloved hand beyond the chamber lip.
You put neither in your statement.
I left when you ordered me out. I told myself that made the person I left behind your responsibility.
I signed empty. I told myself your withdrawal made leaving yours.
Mark the survivor detail privately held. Done. Now give me only the identification.
Mara Voss. The retreat voice is yours.
You blamed me for leaving.
You blamed me for letting go.
The intake stays open. Neither of us gets absolution from it.
Elias carries the lantern to the storage threshold. Nothing in the image or playback changes. He returns it to the transfer case and writes a final reconstruction disposition, while Mara blocks the latch with one hand. Elias removes her hand, stamps the page, and closes the case. The marked interval in the projection contracts into a flat line. On the intake sheet, the speaker notation pulls backward into the paper until only the water remains. Mara immediately isolates the stamped disposition under quarantine glass.
Moving it changed nothing. Do not turn your theory into its disposition.
Your hidden memory supplied the place, the voice, and the woman.
That is a conclusion, not containment.
A field object built from your guilt is not leaving this room.
Elias, wait! What did you recognize when the lantern spoke?
Nothing. There was only water.
You identified my retreat voice.
I would remember doing that.
You were nearest when you filed the answer. Now I am the only one who remembers the question.
5 laminated cards surround the lantern in the isolated bay. The first receives a raw observation. The second receives a question. On the third, Elias stops his own microphone before supplying the causal predicate. For the fourth, they move the lantern between marked positions and close nothing. 4 timer relays finish without disturbing the image, the cards, or either investigator. Mara places the 5th card into the active recorder and stands closer to the lantern than Elias. She commits one complete entry. The projected woman raises her left hand because the remembered survivor reached toward the lantern. The paper reverses. The woman's raised hand changes sides, and the glove color mark disappears from Mara's comparison card.
The first loss was mine. I should stand nearest.
You cannot consent to losing something you no longer know you had.
And you can't.
I still remember enough to choose.
Entry committed.
Mara, what color was the glove?
I remember its shape. I remember the hand inside it.
The color?
Gone.
Then we have the boundary.
And we do not spend another memory proving it.
At the routing table, Mara turns the lantern toward the unlabeled brass correspondence board. Wet arches expand across the wall, followed by the broken geometry of a service stair and a clock stopped at 21:14. Elias compares the arch spacing with the old North Weir packet. The room clock advances to 2034. A dry breath of soot leaves the lantern and settles on one recessed token. Beneath that token, an existing brass link runs to the culvert access token. Mara removes the paired token and holds it between them.
North Weir.
How certain?
The arch spacing is exact. The broken stair is the one we used.
2114 against 2034.
40 minutes. We cannot get a field release in 40.
Then stop trying to make this legal.
The dark token is fixed to the culvert access.
That route was paired before the lantern touched the board.
Take the token.
Are you coming?
I will carry the line.
A continuity lead at the evidence exit connects the lantern's red tamper filament directly to Mara's active credential dock. Mara reads the posted open circuit protocol, removes the cutters from the wall bracket, and positions them around the filament. Elias stands beside the culvert hatch with the line bag. When the blades close, the credential dock changes status immediately. Mara lifts the unsealed lantern against her navy raincoat and approaches the hatch.
Mara, read the last line again.
Opening the circuit permanently voids the current field clearance.
40 minutes will not buy it back.
It may buy her.
Field clearance void.
You do not have to follow me.
I know.
Do you still think the lantern built her from my memory?
I still do not trust your judgment.
Then trust the brass.
I am following the route, not you.
For now, that is enough.
At 2051, Mara sets the lantern beneath a high inspection port and angles a mirror into the lower sump. The woman in the projection stands below them with the water at her chin. Her left wrist carries the same 3 orange loops. Above the flood door, an upper guide has buckled around a wedge of masonry. Elias raises his active recorder and begins a diagnosis. Mara stops it at the conjunction before he can supply the causal predicate, then hands him the inspection mirror. Its reflected path reveals an overflow shelf and a raised dogleg, with both its lower mouth and crest above the water. A corroded grate closes the gallery end.
North Weir, answer me.
Near. Site inspector. Water's at my chin, and my left shoulder is useless.
Show me the repair on your wrist.
3 cord loops. They are holding better than my shoulder.
Save the diagnosis. Take the mirror.
There is a spill channel above the overflow shelf. We used it for dry inspections before they grated it.
The mirror finds the bend. It is still person-wide.
Can you reach the shelf?
Not one-armed. Get that grate off and lower me a line.
That is the route. We leave the flood door alone.
At the spill route entrance, Elias's field unit opens a required explanation field for Mara's clearance breach. He mutes the unit, turns its unanswered screen inward, and locks his carabiner into Mara's anchor line. One hand remains closed around the line, while the other works the cutter across the grate bolts. Mara secures the lantern to her rear harness and folds its tag inward. Below them, Nia watches the grate shift and calls up before Elias reaches the last 2 bolts.
Your unit wants the breach answered.
It can wait.
Last time, the report did not wait. My anchor did.
Last time, I let go.
Do not promise me anything. Lock the gate.
Locked.
Top left bolt last. It carries the grate's weight off the channel.
You heard the inspector.
Line first.
Line stays first.
Mara crawls through the raised dogleg, sets the lantern on the dry overflow shelf, and descends on Elias's line. She reaches near with the sump at chest height and braces both arms beneath her without loading the injured shoulder. When Elias takes their combined weight, Mara lifts Nia until her hips cross the shelf edge. Only then does Nia's chin clear the water and her soaked clothing drain across the dry stone. Masonry begins falling near the service stair. Nia tightens her waterproof inspection pouch against her ribs before approaching the narrow dogleg.
Nia, I can cut the coat away from your shoulder.
Don't. My 2012 inspection print is sewn into that side. Roll me onto the shelf.
That will hurt.
So will drowning. Keep the pouch dry.
Elias, take our weight.
I have both of you.
You go through first.
Bind my bad arm. If I stall, pull. I am not making you argue with an inspector.
Nia is through. Mara, your turn.
I have to recover the lantern.
Secure it to yourself. I am not breaking contact again.
Lantern secured. Hall.
Rain strikes the field shelter, while Mara slides the lantern into an opaque sleeve and keeps its folded tag outside Nia's sightline. Nia opens the waterproof pouch she protected during the extraction. Inside is a mechanically time-embossed 2012 inspection print showing her torn glove and the 3-loop wrist repair. Mara enters only the 2 times and the matching physical details. On the Room 17 feed, the threshold remains empty as its printer adds remembered rescue, Mara never made, beside Nia's pending witness entry. Elias ejects the observational strip, closes the active entry, stops the case recorder, powers down his field unit, and disconnects the Room 17 feed. The retained strip contains no cause or conclusion. Only after every recorder is inactive does Nia turn toward Mara. Elias waits for Nia to finish addressing her before unfolding the hidden tag.
1 filed note. 2012 print. 3 loops on the left wrist. 2028 projection. The same detail. Nothing beyond the match.
Entered exactly that.
Close it.
Case recorder stopped. Field unit off. Room feed disconnected.
LI 4218. Hold the print by the dry edge.
Why did you call me that?
That is what I know you as.
It is on the hidden side of Mara's tag. You could not have seen it.
The wrist repair was yours before intake. My retreat was folded around what came after. The lantern predicted you. It did not invent you.
Then remember I carried the proof out myself.